Om Stapakaya cha Dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupini Avatara Varishchaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayosritva Pranamami Mahurmu Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhasvarupaya Swamini Tapaharini. Yesterday we had celebrations of Sri Ramakrishna. So we talked in general about the life and message. Today we thought we should have a special discourse on Sri Ramakrishna, because as devotees in the tradition of Ramakrishna, we should know a little more in detail about Thakur. A small ritual is performed just at the time of sunset, when the sun descends into the western horizon. Every day, in a large number of ashramas, hundreds of ashramas, and in thousands of homes, a small ritual in adoration of the unseen presence of an extraordinary personality called Sri Ramakrishna. Lights are waved, hymns are sung, and in a deeply prayerful mood, people participate in that ritual. It's as if, time comes to a standstill. There is neither the past nor the future. The participants are as if they are transported to the very presence of Sri Ramakrishna, to his room on Dakshineshwar. That kind of a feeling this ritual evokes. They say that is the power of rituals. People often ask about rituals. Why rituals? Rituals have this capacity. They can uplift the mind and take you beyond time, beyond space, beyond your present ambience to something of a very transcendental nature. That's the power of rituals. So that brings us to the question, who is this personality called Sri Ramakrishna, in whose adoration this ritual is performed every day? Because who he was, even those who lived very close to him, they were unable to kind of measure or fathom. Because once Girish Ghosh asked him, are you a man or a woman? आप पुरुष या क्या नारी? मैं खुद ही नहीं समझ पा रहा हूँ. I don't understand. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. Because he was, normally people thought that he was only a male personality like that. But there were instances in his life, because once Durga Puja was being celebrated in Mathur Babu's house. And then Mathur Babu saw one very nicely dressed middle-aged woman was doing the charmer of the Divine Mother. So he asked his wife, who is this lady who is new? And he said, Kya, you don't understand? He is your Baba. So that was Ramakrishna. Because he was beyond form, beyond name, beyond anything, because he could elevate himself to such levels. Quite often, in a very mysterious and mystic ways, he manifested his presence. So if you look at the very origin of Sri Ramakrishna's life, we know his father went to Gaya to do the Shraddh of the ancestors. And there the Lord appeared in his dream and said that I am going to be born as your son. तो श्री राम तो उन्होंने बोला मैं क्या करूं, मैं तो गरीब ब्राह्मण है, What how will I serve you? नहीं नहीं, आप जो खिलाएंगे मैं वही संतुष्ट रहूंगा. So at the same time, his wife Chandramani, he had a wonderful vision in that Jogi Shiva temple of Kamarpukur, where she had gone for worship. The evening hours, a stream of light emerged from the Shivlinga and entered her body, and she fell unconscious. When he came to normal consciousness, she felt she was carrying a child. When Sridharam came, at the time he was quite old, he was past 60 or so. So she confided this dream, and Sridharam also said what he saw in his dream. But he said, please don't discuss all this with others, others would not understand all this. And subsequently, Sri Ramakrishna was born. So was it some kind of a samanvaya even before birth? Shiva and Vishnu coming together, even before the birth of Sri Ramakrishna. And in his life, so many times, once Swami Turiyananda went to Puri Jagannath and he saw the figure of Sri Ramakrishna in place of Lord Jagannath. Swamiji had his vision of Sri Ramakrishna as Radharani. And when Sri Ramakrishna left his body, the first utterance of the Holy Mother was, "Oh Mother Kali, where have you gone, deserting me?" So many people had realized him as so many different spiritual beings, so to say, as gods and goddesses and so on. So who was he really? How do we understand Sri Ramakrishna? How do we get associated with him? How does it help in our spiritual journey? See, as Swami Vivekananda called him as the greatest of avatars, called him as Avatara Varishta in the Pranam mantra which he coined. Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namah. This is what he had composed. Why did he say that? Because avatars come time and again to fulfill the need of the society. That's what the Gita says. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamyam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya shambhavam yuge. That's what the Gita says. The avatara comes again and again to fulfill the need of the time, to give a spiritual impetus or thrust to humanity. So in that sense, each avatara has its own significance. So there is nothing like high and low. In what sense was Swamiji talking about Sri Ramakrishna as the highest avatara? So there are several very unique and distinguishing features of this Ramakrishna incarnation, whatever you might call it, which, places him on a very special kind of a place in the spiritual history of mankind. First of all, when you compare Rama and Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna did not exhibit any miraculous power, nor did he wield weapons to kill the enemies. To establish dharma, you have to destroy the adharma, is it not? That's why most of the avatars have to take to wars, take to weapons, take to something. Sri Krishna did not himself fight the Kurukshetra war, but he had taken up arms to kill Shishupal and Kamsa and all that. And in the Mahabharata war also, he participated very actively, although apparently he was only a Sarathi. But Sri Ramakrishna was the humblest of humble beings. And yet, he could bring about such a spiritual transformation. So somebody asked Holy Mother, is Dharma Samanvaya the most important aspect of Sri Ramakrishna's advent or personality or his life? She said, no. उन्होंने तो कोई मतलब से नहीं किया, वो सत्य के वो जानना चाहते थे, उसकी वजह से उन्होंने विभिन्न धर्म की पथ पर चला. He took the path of different religions because he wanted to experience the truth in various forms, and that is how it happened. And she said, त्याग उनकी भूषण है. Is the real embellishment or alankara or decoration or special feature or distinguishing feature is tyaga or renunciation. The world has not seen such renunciation. So maybe that's what one of the reasons why Swamiji felt that he should describe him as the greatest of avatars, because tyaga, normally we think that if you give up something, if you give up possessions, if you give up some money, goods and so on, that is considered tyag or renunciation. But in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, tyag, not only goods, possession and all that, even the very idea, supposing once a small desire in his mind arose that he would like to use a very costly shawl and also smoke tobacco using a silver bubble. So whatever he said, immediately Mathur Babu would arrange. It came. Then he says, I smoke this way, that way, in so many ways. And similarly put on the shawl. And then he told his mind, oh mind, this is what is called putting on a good shawl, costly shawl. He immediately removed it, threw it. He was stamping his foot on it, and he was even about to spit and so on. Then quickly Mathur Babu got the shawl collected because it was very costly. And he never ever touched those things in his life. See, in most of the cases, Tyaga happens after great struggle. Even if you give up something, it's very difficult to give up the craving at the mental level. You may give up, say, no, I will not have this item, this food, it's bad for my health. Maybe, whatever consideration. But then mentally, there's a tremendous craving. The craving doesn't go. But here is a person, when he determines something, it completely goes away from his mind completely. Never ever has he to think of that. That kind of a super mind. Tyaga of the highest order. Anything that is given up forever. Towards the later part of his life, during his illness, he said, one day, no, hereafter I will not have rice. Finished. From that day onwards, no more rice. Only that suji porridge, so all that could completely stopped taking rice. Anything his mind determines, that is immediately realized and realized forever. There's no going back on that. That's the power of his renunciation or tyaga. It's not just giving up a few items or possessions or anything. Mentally dissociating any idea. Finished. He was so devoted to the Divine Mother. Day and night he would talk only about the Divine Mother. But when he did the Islamic sadhana, he completely stopped even entering the temple. Those ideas completely vanished from his mind. It could imagine the power of such a mind. So naturally, when such a personality takes birth on this earth, naturally there is a tremendous purpose, there's a great meaning in such advent. And that would really, that should be for the benefit of mankind, isn't it? That's why this advent of Sri Ramakrishna and those who are drawn into this movement, this Ramakrishna movement, or the Ramakrishna tradition, as you might call it, it's not in large numbers. Why? Because this is very deeply rooted on sadhana and renunciation. Only those who are prepared to do something in these two directions, they alone will be attracted to come. यहाँ तो ऐसे कोई नहीं बोल रहे आप सब कुछ अच्छा ही कर रहे हैं, करते रहो, थोड़ा बीच बीच में 108 माला कर लो. No, that is not the type of thing that is advocated. If you go through the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and the message which all the direct disciples had talked about, it's very different. They clearly say that unless until there is this idea, the acceptance that through that kind of intense effort alone, one can realize the goal of life. And coupled with the idea that necessary to give up is tyaga, then you are attracted. Then you can come. And also, if you also understand, very strangely, people are brought into this movement. From south, north, east, west, India, abroad, so many countries, such rare countries like Mexico, here, there, unheard of countries. There some devotees sitting, he was inspired. Someone saw some photographs somewhere, someone saw in a tea stall or in a carpenter's workshop or somewhere, here, there, everywhere. Someone heard casually, someone came this way, that way. So many ways people are attracted, and so many ways people are inspired. I myself heard one real life incident. A young couple during their marriage to the bride, somebody presented a copy of this book, Gospel of Ramakrishna. She never even opened it. What is this? What kind of gift they have given? She put it just in the almirah and forgot it. So suddenly, as in many cases it happens, the whole thing went sore and she was in deep distress. तो ऐसे समस्या आया जीवन में, वो सोच लिया मैं आत्महत्या कर लूँ. So that day she had food, kind of talked to everybody, then she closed his room. She knew it was the last day or night on this earth. She had decided she would commit suicide. And suddenly her eyes fell on this book, Gospel. शादी के समय कोई दिया था, खुला भी नहीं अभी तक. Then she, just let me see what it is. She took it, opened, read that book the whole night, and her life was completely changed. So, like that, there are many rare and very sterling, extraordinary incidents where people have been just transformed by reading this very book. So powerful, such an extraordinary text. So, in various ways, people get attracted, people form this group called this, belonging to this tradition. So if you see that, if you look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, if you also accept him as someone who has come to show the path, normally, these are some of the special features of the concept of avatara according to Hindu view of life. One is to leave behind a path suited to the mankind of the times. क्योंकि बराबर वही सनातन धर्म है, लेकिन युग के अनुसार आपका पथ में कुछ परिवर्तन करना लगता है. The approach demands some change according to the times. Sri Ramakrishna himself says, जो नवाब का समय जो ये था मुद्रा, वो अभी दूसरी की समय उसको चलेगा नहीं. You need a legal tender. आप अभी क्वीन विक्टोरिया का लोन लेके जाएं मार्केट में, it may be a priceless treasure for you, but they won't give even a few rupees in exchange for that. So we need a legal tender, the current coin. It should work in this current yuga. So maybe in that sense, every avatara leaves behind a path which is very much suited to the times in which they came. And also they say is to leave behind a form worthy of adoration. Because in any tradition, particularly if you go through the path of bhakti or devotion, the central personality is the most attractive figure in the whole movement. So even in this tradition also, those who worship Sri Ramakrishna, they are so deeply attracted to his personality. So what is so adorable, those who practice, they would understand. Externally to look at it, a very ordinary figure, so to say. Like कोई कहाँ से माली की तरह काम करने वाले. Somebody had come, he thought he's a Mali and said, yeah, वहाँ से थोड़ा फूल तोड़ के दे तो मेरा चाहिए, ऐसे भी बोला था. He was simply went and brought some flowers and gave. It was so simple as that. But those who are in spiritual life, for them, this figure, this appearance of Sri Ramakrishna, his rupa, that means a tremendous significance. So, in his incarnation as Avatar, one special distinguishing feature which really draws our attention is his ability to redeem human beings. The Anugraha Shakti, as they call, that's a very powerful influence you can see displayed in the life of Sri Ramakrishna time and again. This may be one extraordinarily distinguishing feature of this advent of God on earth in a human form. So if you look at a few incidents, that will give us an idea how a variety of people, each of a different time and of a type, temperament, etc., were attracted and led to a path of spiritual redemption in a very unique way. So that might give us an idea as to what should be our approach in where do we fit in. See, after all, we have all come to do sadhana, we have all come to seek something permanent, lasting in this life. So, what should be our approach? One might get some clue about that. There was one devotee by name Manmohan Mitra. So he was coming to Sri Ramakrishna regularly. And obviously he was very much overwhelmed by his love, concern, affection, etc. Then one day when he was about to start for Dakshineshwar, his aunt very vehemently protested and she spoke very ill of Sri Ramakrishna, bahut gaaliyan di. Somehow he managed to come and when he came, he found Sri Ramakrishna was very morose. Usually he is always a very joyful person. आज क्या हुआ, आप ऐसे क्यों, विमर्श क्यों? Sri Ramakrishna बोला, मेरा कोई भक्त यहाँ आना चाहते हैं. His aunt is trying to prevent him from coming. He was shocked. क्या अभी मेरे घर पे जो घटना हुआ, इनको पता हो क्या? Then his devotion increased. But quite often, unless the devotion is tempered with jnana or knowledge, people can kind of get misled. So he thought that Sri Ramakrishna loves me alone so dearly. I am his dearest devotee. But Sri Ramakrishna knew that this needed a correction. Then right in front of him, he praised very much another devotee by name Suren Mitra. He spoke so highly of Suren. Bas, he became so annoyed. Oh, I am nobody. Suren is your greatest devotee. I shall not come here. And he completely stopped coming. But Sri Ramakrishna would not let him go. That is the power of an avatara. Supposing you come into his influence, wherever you are, even if you try to go out of it, again you will be drawn, again you will be brought back till your ultimate redemption. So then Sri Ramakrishna sent many emissaries. Then उन्होंने बोला नहीं इतना मैं दूर चले जाऊंगा. Then he went back to his native place somewhere. But he was constantly thinking only about Sri Ramakrishna. He could not forget him. Then suddenly remembered how Sri Ramakrishna used to speak so highly about Mother Ganga. So he said, all right, let me go take Ganges bath. Then he went to take bath in Ganges. And the moment he entered into waters, he simply had a vision of Sri Ramakrishna and he fell down unconscious. Right at the very time, Sri Ramakrishna appeared there in a boat, and with him was Niranjan, who later on became Swami Niranjanananda. This Niranjan lifted him from waters and kept him on the floor of the boat. And after a few minutes, this Manmohan Mitra opened his eyes and he saw his vision. Sri Ramakrishna was just there. Then he simply wept and said, oh, it's all my own ego, how I thought about all that. But I find that you really have otherwise. So Sri Ramakrishna said, finally I had to come myself to rescue you. Then Manmohan said, oh, it's all my own ego. And that's how his that episode ended. So, see, to that extent, from wherever he was, he came and so he could not really, in spite of his effort, it was not possible for him to even go out. So, like that, Swami Brahmananda, he came even at a very young age to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna used to really love him so much and show so much affection. And this Rakhal, he was called at that time, he had not become a Swami. He would again and again ask him, say, I have not had any experience, I have not had any spiritual experience. Then Sri Ramakrishna would say, no, it will happen, it will happen, it will happen. Then one day, he told him finally, he was just applying oil to Sri Ramakrishna and Dakshineshwar. Then again he raised this topic and Sri Ramakrishna scolded him severely. But he was from a Zamindar family. He took that oil bottle and threw it on the floor and broke it and he left. But he went only up to the gate of Dakshineshwar and suddenly he found that he can't take one step forward. It looked as if somebody had bound him hand and feet. He was just not able to move forward even one step. Then the meanwhile, Ramakrishna sent that Ramlal Dada was also there. Go and bring him. And Ramlal Dada went and brought him back. And Ramakrishna was smiling. Could you go? It's not so easy. Then Rakal became assuaged and actually he had great spiritual experiences in time. Ramakrishna always knew that what medicine to be applied to whom, so that you are brought back in your journey of spiritual discovery. Well, the very same Suren Mitra about whom he spoke to that Manmohan and he became angry. That Mitra also had a very wonderful, there are two incidents in his life. At least two. There may be many more. So when he was given to, drinking actually. Then another devotee, Ramchandra Datta, was a doctor. Very odd and devotee. So he said, no, if you don't do like this, otherwise devotees will say, drunkards are his devotees. Why do you do all that? You should not drink. But Suren said, no, Sri Ramakrishna knows I drink. If it is not good, he would advise. Why do you say? Who are you to advise me? Then Ramchandra said, all right, let us go and ask Ramakrishna. Suren Mitra agreed, but he said, no, we will not broach the topic. We will simply go to him. Whatever is to be said, he will say. We will not even open the topic. So they agreed. So both of them went. And they met Sri Ramakrishna Dakshineshwar. The very first question, Sri Ramakrishna says, Suren, I know you are given to drinking, but don't get. He said, whenever you take it, always offer it to the Divine Mother and take it as prasada. So he said, oh, all right, some concession I have got. But then Sri Ramakrishna said, see that your legs don't wobble. That means don't get drunk. You can take a little as offering to mother. So, the point is, all these people literally followed Sri Ramakrishna's instruction and they were greatly uplifted. In his later life, he became an extraordinarily devoted person and he lived a wonderfully spiritually elevated life, the Suren Mitra. Although he started his journey like that, Sri Ramakrishna knew he was very compassionate. He would allow people to slowly go forward in their own way. But to each he had a very special way of, curing their maladies and their problems. So in Mitra once, he was, I think probably Sri Ramakrishna was in Balram Basu's house or somewhere. He used to go very frequently to Balram Basu's place in Calcutta because he was a very pure hearted soul. He would say that Balram's anna is bahut shuddha anna hai. Normally, he wouldn't take food outside. In Balram's place, although he was of a different caste, Sri Ramakrishna would take because he said it's very pavitra. So, उन्होंने उस दिन वहाँ गए थे because in all such gatherings, Sri Ramakrishna would be a very free person. He would sing and he would dance and he would be like that. And he was dancing in great ecstasy. Then Soren had taken a very beautiful flower garden for Sri Ramakrishna. His desire was Sri Ramakrishna would put on that garland and then he would dance. It would be like sight for gods. So उन्होंने ऐसी माला लेके गए. जैसे उन्होंने दिया तो अहंकार उसी तो माला के ऊपर अहंकार का लेपन था. मैंने ले आया इतना अच्छा माला इतना बढ़िया ठाकुर के लिए. It was coated with that ahankara. So Sri Ramakrishna thought that this needs correction. He took the mala but he threw it away. So Suren was so broken-hearted. He was sitting in a corner and he was shedding tears. I brought it with so much devotion. He did not accept it. He has thrown it away. So he thought that his life is in vain and he was sobbing very uncontrollably. So then Sri Ramakrishna, by then he knew that the mala has been purified by Surendra's tears. The ahankar is gone. So even while dancing, he just picked up that mala and put it on his own person and he was dancing in greater ecstasy. Now Suren was again shedding tears, but this time it was tears of joy that the great Sri Ramakrishna had accepted his offering. So like that, there are so many innumerable incidents that highlight this very special gift and power of Sri Ramakrishna, where he could really redeem the people from their bondages, free them from their bondages. That is why, they say that Khandana Bhava Bandhana, Jagavandana Vandito Mai. That's what we sing every evening. The breaker of bonds, the bondage of the samsara, Bhava Bandhan Todne Wala. So, so that is why whatever is the greatest or the not so great, all those things are of a lesser importance. Whether we can use this influence, use this power to redeem our own spiritual life and reach the goal of life, that is what is really very, very important. So, similarly, this Swami Yogananda was just called Yogen in his pre-monastic life. This Yogen was coming to Sri Ramakrishna. He was a great seeker and all that. And suddenly, he was refusing all proposals of marriage. Then one day his mother said, Arey, your father has given word. If you don't marry, then you will suffer a terrible loss of face. Should you allow that to happen to your father? So then he said, all right, if you want for father's sake, it's okay. He married. But he was not even looking at his wife because he knew only because of father's sake. And his mother one day scolded him, what is it? You don't even spend time with her. Then why did you marry? He said, no, you said fathers will be you'll be ashamed. So that's it. Oh, does anyone marry for father's sake? And his own mother was. So he was shocked. She said like that, now she's saying. And the meanwhile, he had stopped going to Sri Ramakrishna also, because Sri Ramakrishna was such a tyagi. Now I have married another, how shall I go? Then again, Sri Ramakrishna hit upon a plan. He sent somebody saying that, oh, go and tell Yogen, I gave him some money to buy certain things. He did not give back the balance change. And Yogen became very angry. Oh, after all, he's a priest. There's few annas. He's remembering so much. I'll go and throw it on his face and come back. So he came to the exchange. That was the plan. Sri Ramakrishna somehow wanted to bring him back. Then when he came, he did not raise a single word about the balance money or anything. He only simply said, what does it matter if you are married? Don't worry. If you only have faith in this, he never used to use I or me. If you have faith in this, even if you enter into 1,000 marriages, nothing will happen. Then Yogin understood how compassionate he was and how he wanted to guide him, how he wanted to redeem him, so that he would really. So there are so many such extraordinary incidents in Sri Ramakrishna's life, which clearly reveal his nature as someone who is, in that sense, you can say he was very, very extraordinary. How many of those were themselves not so great sadhakas or seekers even to start with, how each and every one of them was brought to spiritual life, given direction, guidance, and helped to really flower into a great sadhaka and ultimately even realize the goal of life. So then, that really brings us to the question then, is it really for those who had really come in contact with him at that time? Many of us were all in a time which is far beyond his physical existence on earth. वो तो छोड़ के चले गए 1886 साल में. अभी हम लोग तो 140-50 साल बाद आए हुए. हम लोग का क्या होता, उनका नहीं देखा हम लोग. That's why he says, what is the power, the avatara? Sri Ramakrishna himself says, is like, he says there is a very huge playground and there is a wall in between. आप इस तरह है, अब आप देख नहीं पा रहे, because it's a huge wall. But somewhere you find there's a small hole in that wall. इसके माध्यम में आप दूसरी तरह क्या है वो देख पाते. You are able to see what is on the other side through this small hole in the wall. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say that hole in that wall is that avatara, the manifestation through which you can see the akhanda or the infinite on the other side in the transcendental realm. So this avatar is a kind of a conduit or a connect or a hole to have a vision of the supreme or the ultimate or connect you to that, whatever it, all those things are coming under that one small little incident which Ramakrishna mentioned. Because our Shastra also says that when God manifests, I think it's in the Purusha Sukta, Etavanasya Mahima Ato Jayaguscha Purusha Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripata Syamritam Bhuvi. So only 1/4, one pada, 1/4 is what is manifested. 3/4 is in the transcendental realm or the unmanifested region. So the personality who is brought to this world is just only a glimpse of that supreme, of that extraordinary. So how do we, so that is where the hope of redemption of majority of the mankind lies, because we have not seen the Sri Ramakrishna in the physical form. But through our prayers, through our meditation on our hearts in that supreme form, we can access the transcendental reality that is Ramakrishna, the 3/4, that remains unmanifest, that remains in the transcendental realm. That's why it's a message of eternal hope for the entire mankind. If you get some idea, somehow you get linked to that tradition, that parampara, that idea, as you try to understand more and more of this extraordinary personality, as you gain little hold in that spiritual life, Then you understand what it is to pray, what it is to practice, what is meditation, how you meditate in an extraordinary form. And through that, you go from this earthly level to a transcendental level, and that is where you can really realize the real Sri Ramakrishna, because the three-fourths of those transcendental aspects are completely, they remain hidden from whatever is manifested on earth. So, in that sense, the redeeming power of Sri Ramakrishna is extraordinary. It was just not restricted to a few who came in contact with him when his mortal frame was on this earth, but it goes far beyond that. So, in that sense, it might be very appropriate to call Sri Ramakrishna as one of the greatest of avatars, because even now there are many sincere souls who are taking to spiritual life seriously and are being guided and shown the path of redemption for Sri Ramakrishna. So I thought on this very special day, just after Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, we shall share some of the insights about Sri Ramakrishna's life, particularly his redeeming power with the devotees. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.